السياسية والاقتصادية الهامة.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Algeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has underlined Algeria's commitment to defend Arab causes at the UN Security Council. The Foreign Affairs is also to take part, or Minister is also to take part in the meeting of the Peace Building Committee due to be held at 9 p.m. Algeria's time later today. The President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, has once again urged the international community at the UN Security Council to introduce an urgent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and to stop arming the Israeli occupation. Meanwhile, 92 people have been killed and 153 others wounded in new Israeli strikes on Lebanon. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First in our news, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, is to take part later today at the UN Security Council headquarters in New York in the meeting of the Peace Building Committee. And speaking from New York on Thursday, Algeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has underlined Algeria's commitment to defend Arab causes at the United Nations Security Council. Asia Bakar has more details in this report.
Speaking of the high-level interactive dialogue session between the Security Council and the Arab League, Ahmed Attaf pointed out that Algeria, as an Arab member of the Council, has never ceased to make every effort to make its voice heard loud and clear within the Council, a voice that takes full account of the situation and expectations of the Arab region and which never hesitates to defend its just causes. In this respect, the Minister of Foreign Affairs affirmed that Algeria was in favor of intensifying dialogue and strengthening cooperation between the Security Council and the Arab League in order to support collective efforts to promote peace, security and stability in the Arab region.
Algeria fully subscribes to the urgent need to increase the dialogue between our two organizations and to strengthen their cooperation for the sake of revitalizing and reinvigorating our respective and our collective efforts towards promoting peace, security and stability in the Arab region.
Recalling the centrality of the Palestinian cause and the need to place it at the heart of the partnership between the Arab League and the Security Council, Ahmed Attaf denounced the Israeli escalation in the region aimed at diverting the attention of the international community from the genocidal war raging in Gaza. At the same time, he insisted on the need to put a definitive end to the tragedy of Gaza in order to achieve de-escalation.
The ceasefire in Gaza and the improvement of the humanitarian situation in this territory, although badly needed at this critical juncture to save lives, will not bring alone lasting peace to the Palestinians and to the region.
The minister also called for avoiding separating the priorities of a ceasefire and improving the humanitarian situation in Gaza from the need to reach a just and lasting solution to the Palestinian question, notably by speeding up the holding of an international conference for peace under the aegis of the UN as soon as possible.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, also affirmed on Thursday from New York Algeria's strong and sincere commitment to continue its support for UNRWA, adding that the agency or the relief agency must continue to exist as long as there are Palestinian refugees deprived of their inalienable right to return to their homeland. Asia Bakar again.
In a speech given at the ministerial meeting of the main partners in support of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, Mr. Attaf stressed that the agency deserves stronger political support and more financial aid from the international community. He said Algeria reiterated its unwavering support for UNRWA and recalls the financial contribution of $15 million that it made last April to the UN agency's budget. The minister also assured that Algeria also reaffirms its strong and sincere commitment to continue its support for UNRWA for what it brings and what it represents in the eyes of the Palestinian people in general and the Palestinian refugees in particular.
Firstly, UNRWA's essential, existential and life-saving role remains fundamentally linked to Resolution 194 of the UN General Assembly. Therefore, it should continue to exist as long as Palestinian refugees are denied their inalienable right to return to their homeland, in spite of all the adverse conditions it is confronted to, and in spite of all the vicious attacks it is subjected to. Secondly, repeated attempts to discredit UNRWA and to terminate its mandate are deplorable, condemnable, and unacceptable, as their faithful target is nothing else but to liquidate one of the key components of the Palestinian question, the refugee issue. Thirdly, UNRWA deserves stronger political support and greater financial assistance from the international community. Algeria reaffirms its unwavering support to UNRWA and recalls the financial contribution of $15 million that it has allocated to this UN agency's budget last April. I would like to conclude by reaffirming Algeria's strong and sincere commitment to continue extending its support to UNRWA because of what it represents, for what it brings, and for all that it symbolizes for the Palestinian people in general and for the Palestinian refugees in particular.
Deploring the recurrent attempts to tarnish the image of UNRWA and to liquidate it in order to wipe out one of the main components of the Palestinian cause, namely the refugee issue, Ahmed Attaf described these actions as lamentable and unacceptable. The minister seized this opportunity to express his deep and sincere condolences to the Commissioner General of the UN agency, Filippo Lazzarini, following the tragic loss of 220 UNRWA employees due to the ongoing genocide perpetrated by the Israeli occupation in Gaza.
And the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the national community abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has held a number of bilateral meetings in New York on the sidelines of the proceedings of the general debate of the United Nations General Assembly, according to a press release from the ministry. In this respect, Ahmed Attaf met the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Ronald Lamola, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Frederic Chava, the Director General of the Continental Secretariat of the African Peer Review Mechanism, Marie-Antoinette Rose Quatre, and the U.S. Ambassador at Large for Religious Freedom, Rashad Hussein, the statement added. The President of the Palestinian State, Mahmoud Abbas, has once again urged the international community from the podium of the United Nations to introduce an urgent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and to stop sending arms to the Zionist entity, which has been continuing its aggression against the Palestinian enclave for almost a year now. Stop the genocide, stop sending weapons to the Zionist entity, President Abbas told the UN General Assembly, saying that the Zionist entity did not deserve to be a member of the United Nations. The Lebanese Ministry of Health has announced that 92 people were killed and 153 others injured Thursday in new Zionist strikes on Lebanon. Raids by the Zionist enemy left 40 people killed in southern Lebanon, 25 in the Anbalabek Hermel region, and 23 in the Bekaa East, and 4 in the Mount Lebanon region, according to the ministry. Earlier, the Lebanese Ministry of Health had reported that 50 children and 95 women were murdered in the Zionist aggression since Monday. 23 Syrian refugees, mostly women and children, have been killed in an airstrike by the Zionist entity in the Lebanese region of Yunin. The Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement that the airstrike carried out by the Zionist warplanes was launched hours before Zionist forces struck the Matrabah border crossing between Lebanon and Syria, injuring several refugees fleeing the violence. The statement accused the Zionist entity of deliberately targeting innocent civilians, including refugees seeking safety. It condemned the Zionist entity's blatant disregard for international law, humanitarian law, and human rights, saying the Zionist entity's actions reflect its long-standing indifference to human lives. The aggression by the Zionist forces in Lebanon this week has forced more than 90,000 people to leave their homes, including 70,000 crammed in 400 schools and other sites, said on Thursday UN humanitarian organizations. The UN Office for the Coordination of Human Rights or Human Affairs, OCHA, has counted the number of people displaced since Monday using data from the International Organization for Migration, which expects the figures to rise. More on this burning topic with our colleague Saad Bouazi.
OCHA said it was gravely concerned about the safety of civilians. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, in Syria has estimated that more than 10,000 people, including Lebanese and Syrians, have left Lebanon for Syria because of the Zionist aggression. The office said that the World Organization and its partners provided food, water, mattresses, and hygiene kits. The recent escalation in violence is also affecting education, health, and other vital civilian facilities in Lebanon. OCHA said that the Lebanese Ministry of Education had postponed the start of the school year until 14th October, affecting thousands of students throughout the country. The office added that airstrikes by the Zionist entity damaged a further 4 water stations, bringing the total number of such facilities affected to 24 since October 2023, which is affecting access to drinking water for more than 250,000 people. According to OCHA, 18 first aid centers closed on Thursday. The United Nations Population Fund said that it was providing health and dignity kits to displaced women and girls. At the same time, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has delivered essential supplies including water, blankets, and hygiene kits to collective shelters. The World Food Programme has indicated that it had prepositioned enough food to meet the needs of 250,000 people for 5 days. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, and the IOM have also provided additional mattresses, blankets, and supplies to help displaced people.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, confirmed that many displaced Syrians have returned to their country from Lebanon. It also said that more than 30,000 people, the majority of whom are Syrians, have fled from Lebanon to Syria over the past 3 days. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the restricted high secure or small-scale meeting of the High Security Council, according to a press release from the Presidency of the Republic. The President of the Republic of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, has sent a message of congratulations to the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, on the occasion of his re-election for a second presidential term, in which he said that Algeria was an important partner for his country in Africa, a press release from the Presidency of the Republic said on Thursday. The Indonesian president told President Tebboune that his leadership and experience had earned him the trust placed in him to lead Algeria towards a bright and prosperous future, adding that Algeria was an important and valuable partner for Indonesia and Africa, and that relations between the two countries were based on mutual respect and cooperation aimed at strengthening the well-being of both peoples and contributing to regional peace and stability. The Speaker of the Council of the Nations, Salah Goujil, has said in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, in a speech read on his behalf by the Deputy Chairman of the Council, Ahmed Kharshi, that Algeria will continue along Africa's path of decision-making independence, underlining that the attachment to African depth was a strategic choice expressed by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, according to a Council press release. Speaking at a consultative meeting of the League of Senates, Consultative Council of Similar Councils of Africa and the Arab world, on the theme of inter-regional partnerships and initiatives, opportunities for integration and development, Salah Goujil said that Algeria is proud to note the launch of high-quality African integration projects reflecting its commitment to the depth of Africa as a strategic choice expressed by the President of the Republic, who declared that Algeria is African by virtue of its destiny and its extension, and that the coming together of Africa can only be achieved through the efforts of African states. The Algerian government has decided to reinstate with immediate effect the requirement for all foreign nationals holding a Moroccan passport to obtain a visa or an entry visa to the national territory, according to a press release issued on Thursday by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad. Algeria, always driven by the values of solidarity woven by the human and family ties that unite the two brotherly peoples, Algerian and Moroccan, had avoided at the time of the decision to sever or to sever diplomatic relations with the country in August 2021 to call into question the free and fluid movement of people, notes the same source. Unfortunately, taking advantage of the visa-free regime, the Kingdom of Morocco has engaged in a number of actions that undermine Algeria's stability and national security, with a large-scale organization of organized crime networks, drug and human trafficking, smuggling, illegal migration, and espionage, as well as the deployment of Zionist intelligence agents holding Moroccan passports to gain free access to the country. These constitute a direct threat to our country's national security and require firm and strict control of all points of access to and stay in the national territory, the press release stresses. The Kingdom of Morocco is held solely responsible for the current process deterioration of bilateral relations through its hostile actions towards Algeria, concludes the same source. And humanitarian aid supplied by the Algerian Red Crescent was delivered on Wednesday from the Boufarik air base in the first military region to the Sahrawi brothers in the refugee camps in Tindouf following the recent floods, according to a statement from the Ministry of National Defense. As part of the drive to strengthen humanitarian and fraternal ties between the peoples of Algeria and the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, a brotherly country, 70 tons of humanitarian aid consisting of bedding and various foodstuffs were transported on Wednesday, 25 of September 2024, from the Boufarik air base in the first military region. This humanitarian aid, provided by the Algerian Red Crescent, was transported on board two military aircraft belonging to the Algerian Air Force to Tindouf Airport in order to distribute it to our Sahrawi brothers in the refugee camps in the province of Tindouf following the recent floods. It concludes the same source. And with this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Time now for our weekly program, starting with my colleague Jamal Salmani and another program by my colleague Hana Dalil. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.